Good morning, everyone. We will start our day by reading the land acknowledgement. We acknowledge that the land on which we are gathering is the traditional territory of several nations and is now home to many diverse First Nations, Inuit, and Métis peoples. We further recognize and shared duty to support the achievement of the calls to action stemming from the recommendations of the Truth and Reconciliation Commission of Canada.
Nous reconnaissons que la terre sur laquelle nous nous rassemblons est le territoire de plusieurs nations et abrite maintenant de nombreux peuples diversifiés, des Premières Nations, des Inuits et des Métis. Nous reconnaissons également notre devoir commun d'appuyer la réalisation des appels à l'action découlant des recommandations de la Commission de vérité et réconciliation du Canada.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Sonia Ellis-Seguin, and I am an executive assistant with the Elementary Teachers Federation of Ontario and the staff lead in implementing ETFO's multi-year strategy on addressing anti-Black racism. Thank you for allowing me the opportunity to speak with you this morning and to share with you a little bit about what FO is doing on addressing anti-Black racism and to share an initiative that we hope that you can all collaborate with us and support. If there's to be true equity in public education, stakeholders, including the Ontario government, school boards, and the Ontario College of Teachers, the College of Early Childhood Educators, faculties of education, and unions representing educators and education workers must do what is necessary to end racism and anti-Black racism in the education system. We are beyond a discussion on whether anti-Black racism exists in education. It does, as evidenced by the poor outcomes for Black students on numerous fronts and the Ontario Ministry of Education's intervention to address anti-Black racism in various school boards. It is important that we demand that systemic and institutional impacts on anti-Black racism is addressed in all aspects of society, including education. There is no one practice, policy, or law that can suffice. We're talking about systemic discrimination, which means that all aspects of public education systems, from government directives to training for all stakeholders, school boards, personnel, school administration, curriculum, and resource development, must be vigorously assessed to ensure their impacts on Black students, staff, and administration are positive. In 2018, ETFO approved a multi-year strategy to promote the United Nations International Decade for Peoples of African Descent and address anti-Black racism. Since that time, the Federation has communicated its goals and its strategies to members and to staff. We've produced an anti-Black racism posters for schools, created a substantive policy statement on anti-Black racism, undertaken an environmental scan that examined and analyzed relevant ETFO studies and reports, programs and resources, governmental partners and programs. We've enhanced our member self-identification process to better support and encourage the participation of Black members in ETFO programs. We commenced an anti-Black racism training that involved all ETFO staff, provincial executive, and local leaders. We've provided workshops for members and for local leaders. We've implemented an annual conference since 2018 addressing anti-Black racism in Ontario education for members. We've developed a leadership program specifically for members who self-identify as Black. We are developing a curriculum resource, which is titled Race Matters, Teaching Students to be Race Conscious. In addition to the work that ETFO is currently doing, we will also develop and deliver a new AQ course on addressing anti-Black racism. We are creating a program that's going to focus on addressing anti-racism and anti-Black racism in the classroom and for teachers in their practice. We have developed and created a new ETFO bursary for non-ETFO members starting this year. The application deadline is April 30th. And it's, as I said, open for all members, all non-members who identify as Black, who will be entering into a Faculty of Education program. We plan to approach faculties of education to advocate for an increase in representation of Black teacher candidates and determine what data is needed regarding the application and selection process. A key element of building a critical mass of Black educators in the education sector is to address the barriers to recruitment, hiring, retention policies, and procedures. Barriers may be a result of the unintentional policies and procedures that disadvantage Black candidates or as a result of an unconscious bias. ETFO is also organizing a public symposium with labor and education sector organizations to raise the awareness of the importance of hiring Black teachers and educators in the system. ETFO will also be hosting an online webinar and conference for Ontario teacher candidates who self-identify as Black that will focus on addressing anti-Black racism in Ontario education and connecting teacher candidates with possible mentors. And this is what I would like to share with you this morning. Coming soon, Stronger Together, Learning, Teaching, and Working While Black. This is a one-day event that will be held for current elementary teacher candidates who self-identify as Black. This online conference will take place in the 2022-2023 school year. A final poster will be shared with all faculties by the spring of 2022. We are asking that you please share this information with your current teacher candidates and the teacher candidates for next year. That you collaborate with us in offering this webinar opportunity during the students' instructional practice, as we are a strong believer that this should not be seen as an add-on, but rather embedded in the everyday practice of the teacher candidates. And for more information, please do not hesitate to contact me. And my contact information is below. I'm going to leave with you in the chat some links that also provide additional information on what I have just shared. And I hope that you all share this information as I said, and thank you again for allowing me this opportunity to speak to you about our goals and how we plan to address anti-Black racism in the Ontario public system.